When do I leave the narcissist? Many people find themselves in troublesome relationships. Those relationships can be social, work, familial, but most commonly of a romantic nature, where the impact upon the victim is considerable. The starting point is to gain an assessment as to who it is you are dealing with. To that end, I direct individuals to undertake the narc detector, a comprehensive analysis of the information that you provide to determine what it is that you are dealing with. In some instances, people suspect they're dealing with a narcissist, but actually they are not. And therefore, if they're dealing with someone who's normal or narcissistic or even unusually an empath, then that affords them a different route to addressing the difficulties that they are experiencing. Unsurprisingly, for many people, the outcome is indeed that they are dealing with a narcissist, and they learn the reason why, or rather the reasons why that person is a narcissist, whilst understanding what school and cadre they are. That information is important as it enables the victim to understand more about why the victim is being treated in the way that they are. But it also enables them to know what the narcissist is likely to do, and just as importantly, what the narcissist is less likely to do, providing a degree of comfort and assurance. The first golden rule of freedom is such that once you know, you go, you get out and you stay out, the principle of go-so, which has been devised by your glorious narrator. This means that once you know that you are dealing with a narcissist, the most appropriate thing for you to do is to get out of that relationship and to stay out of that relationship. There are some individuals that believe that they can somehow manage the relationship with the narcissist as a consequence of the information that they have received through my work. That is not a logical response. It is one that is governed by emotional thinking. There are some individuals that recognize that they ought to leave, but feel that they cannot. They feel they cannot do so because of financial insecurity, residence insecurity, issues in relation to children, fearing how the narcissist will respond. These and other considerations appear legitimate, but they're actually being seized upon by emotional thinking to stop you taking that logical step of leaving. In one instance, I recall an individual who recognized that she was dealing with the narcissist. She was married to that narcissist. She knew that the most appropriate thing to do would be to leave and start divorce proceedings, but she feared that leaving would trigger a hostile and unpleasant reaction from him. Indeed it would, because it would result in substantial wounding to the narcissist. However, I explained that through the implementation of a solid and robust no-contact regime, whilst there would be an explosion of fury if she was not around and could not be found and could not be contacted, then that fury could not be directed against her, and therefore her fear of his reaction was being driven by emotional thinking. She explained that she really felt that she couldn't go because she kept fearing his reaction. I therefore explained, well, in which case, stay. That's not the logical thing to do, but if you are so fearful of how he might react and don't believe that you can put in place the appropriate no-contact regime, then stay. But she recognised that would not be a sensible response either, because she was being abused. I explained that it was clear that what she wanted to happen was this, that she could leave, divorce him, that he would receive receipt of the divorce petition and would say, I don't blame you for divorcing me, I've been a complete schmuck. I will sign the petition, split everything down the middle, and I will never darken your doorstep again. All the best. I explained that would not happen. And it is important to recognise that at the point that you realise that you're dealing with a narcissist, that you have to be realistic about what is going to happen. There is likely to be some turbulence because of the response of the narcissist and quite possibly the response of other people who do not understand narcissism and their reaction to you. Nevertheless, their reactions are not your concern. You are dealing with a narcissist. That narcissist has made your life a misery already, and they will continue to leech from you and drain the very life force from you in the years to come unless you remove yourself from them. There is, of course, practical considerations that have to be taken into account. A place to live, organising money. And therefore, what it is necessary when it comes to the point at leaving the narcissist is determining this. Is the situation such that I should leave with the clothes on my back? In some instances, that is, particularly where you are in receipt of dire physical danger. Get out immediately. Go and stay somewhere else, whether it's in a car or on somebody's sofa, and take the appropriate steps to then organise, as set out in my book, getting out, the removal of your possessions, etc. In some instances, you may have to start again. But that, whilst irksome, is far better than suffering the continued physical abuse and remaining in the hold of the narcissist. In other instances, you may well have the opportunity to plan your exit. And what you must be aware of in such situations is getting the balance right. Having sufficient time to plan so that your exit is easier, and that when you do leave, it's easier in terms of you have somewhere to live, you have access to money, you have your essential documents, you've organised things in relation to the children, etc. But you must balance that with the fact that if you remain with the narcissist whilst you're undertaking your planning, you of course remain within the 5 arenas of interaction, and your emotional thinking will remain high. Your emotional thinking doesn't want you to leave. It doesn't want you to listen to my sage advice. You see, if you leave, you will stop feeding the addiction. You will no longer be physically proximate to the narcissist. You won't be communicating with the narcissist. You're less likely to be doing things in relation to the narcissist. You may talk about the narcissist and possibly still think about the narcissist, but that is a considerable reduction in the level of addiction feeding that has been taking place hitherto. And your addiction does not want that to happen. It wants you to be a good little victim and stay. And therefore what it will do is it will hijack your planning and keep telling you, no need to go just yet. Make sure you've got enough money. No need to go just yet. Make sure that apartment is properly sorted that you're going to move to. It will find reasons, excuses to delay your departure. The starting point is this. When you know that you're dealing with a narcissist, get out. And you must only delay that where there are solid and legitimate reasons for doing so. Often this is quite hard for you to make a determination because you can't see the wood for the trees. Your emotional thinking is rampant. How do you know whether you're making excuses? How do you know whether you're unnecessarily delaying as opposed to taking sensible steps to make sure life is going to be easier when you do go? The simple answer to all of that is to involve my objective input. I am not affected by emotional thinking. I see your situation clearly and will be able to explain to you that, yes, these are sensible steps that you should take, do them, and then leave shortly thereafter. Or, no, you're prevaricating. This isn't necessary. You're allowing yourself to be sucked in by your emotional thinking and not leaving. That is one of many benefits of consulting with me, to have that overview from an individual who is an expert, unaffected by emotional thinking, and able to give you objective and clear observations about your position. There is never any legitimate reason to remain with the narcissist. Whatever your mind is telling you as to why you ought to stay, that is emotional thinking. You must get out, and once out, stay out. So the starting position is an immediate departure. For some, that is easier than others. For those that have things to organise, then the emphasis is on organising that with due haste rather than ambling along. Remember, in some instances, the narcissist's behaviour can alter, so they start being pleasant to you and you get a respite period as the intimate partner primary source. You should use that respite period to accelerate your planning, not to take your foot off the gas and think, oh well, things are all right at the moment, and therefore there isn't the urgency to go. No. Again, your emotional thinking is creeping in and keeping you in situ. When do I leave the narcissist? You leave as soon as you know that you're dealing with a narcissist, taking into account appropriate practicalities. And if you're unsure of what that means, then utilize my expert input.